All right, so for this one, what do you think the definition, the review word is for the first one? Data, right? Is a group of facts, and it gives you the example. Data means information. It's just information. They're not giving you mean. They're not giving you a median or anything, any calculations. They're just telling you this is what I have. Kind of like your grades. It's just information, unless I give you the average, right? The middle set value in a data set. What is it? Median. So how do you calculate the median? Put them in order from what? Least to greatest or greatest to least, and then find the number in the middle. What happens if you have two numbers in the middle? Yes, you add them and then divide them by 2. And that gives you an average of those two numbers, which gives you the median. That's all you have to do. But make sure that they're all ordered from least to greatest. What about the number or category that occurs most frequently? Mode. And this one rhymes with mode, most. The mode is the one that repeats the most, the one that comes up the most. That's what it is. So if you have a number that repeats more than anything else, that's going to be your mode. Sometimes you can have more than one, as long as they have the same amount of numbers or repetitions. All right, the last one, a value that summarizes a set of values found through addition or division. Mean, right? So this is a perfect example of your grades. I grab all your grades, all your values, I add them all up, and then I divide it by the amount of grades you have, and that gives you your average. What I just gave you a while ago, that's the mean of your scores. Good. You should have learned this last year. I hope this is a good refresher. The next one, we're going to choose from the previous words right here. A display that uses values from a data set to show how the values are spread out. What is that? Is it a bar graph, a box plot, a circle graph, a dot plot? Why is that? Why do you think the dot plot is the one that is more accurately? They're spread out, basically. The points are all spread out, right? You can see where they are. So that'll be a dot plot. You'll see one in a minute. A blank uses vertical or horizontal bars to display data. Bar graph. That sounds even dumb, right? It says bars on it. All right, let's move on. So this is what we call a pie chart, or what else? A circle graph. And it's one of the easiest ways to display information that pertains to, for example, students here. I can say that 28% of the students play football, 23 soccer, and so on and so forth. It's very easy. It's very visual. And you can tell the majority of the people in there play football, right? And soccer is the next best thing. And then the other three are almost like equally distributed. Uh, we use those basically to show you out of all these people, this is how many or the percentage that that does something. Um, when you talk about pie charts or circle graphs, you're talking about percentage. What can you tell me about the percentages here? Yes, they must add up to 100. Every single time you have a pie chart, everything adds up to 100. Just like a pie. Whenever you have all of it together, it adds up to a whole, right? Which is 100% of the pie is there. When you remove one, it is going to be that piece out of 100, right? So pie charts, I'm pretty sure you've been exposed to it in 6th grade. These are box and whiskers. I hate this, but we'll go over them later. And let's start with dot plots. That's what it looks like, by the way. The students in the class were surveyed to find out how many people live in their households. Household members might include parents, step-parents, guardians, and siblings, as well as extended families such as grandparents. The results of the survey are shown in the dot plot. Let me clarify something before we begin. The information at the bottom of the dot plot is extremely important because it tells you what it is. It tells you what those numbers mean. The numbers at the bottom are not exactly numbers. They're labels. I could have put here blue, purple, green, gray, black, white, yellow, orange, and red. And I can tell you how many people selected green, how many people selected red, and so on and so forth. The stuff over here at the bottom is just labels. So when you look at this, it doesn't mean that 8 people have 2 siblings. or 8 people have 8 siblings. That's not what it means. The numbers at the bottom are just labels. This means that these dots tells me how many people selected that. There were 2 people who said I have 8 siblings. I mean 8 people in my household. There were 3 people who said I have 3 people in my household. That's what it means. The number of people surveyed are actually the dots. That's what it's called, a dot plot.
So the two people said that they had three people.
I'm sorry?
That that two people said that they had three people remaining.
No, that's exactly what it's not. You flipped it. This is not the amount of people that were surveyed. This means 3 people right here that were surveyed said I have 2 people in my household. Two people here said I have 8 people in my household. One person said I have 7 people in my household. These over here are the people surveyed on top. That's what the dots mean. How many people were surveyed? For every person that you surveyed, they put a point on it. That's what it means. All right. So let's look at it. How many people were surveyed? How many students? How do you figure that out? You count all the dots, right? And a good way of doing this, I told usually my kids, put them on top. 3, this is 4, this is 8, and this is 4, 3, 1, and 2. And add them all up, and all of those gives you 25. 25 students were surveyed. So that's how you know. You never count the bottom part because that's just a label. And I can almost guarantee you're gonna get one of these because it's very confusing for those of you who don't know how to use it. The bottom part is just a label. It's just categories. All right. What percentage of the class has a household of 3 or fewer people? What do you do here?
Oh, oh, it's three, two, and one, and then you add all of them. And
So 3 and this, right?
yeah, you add all that, and then you subtract it from you.
We're looking at percentages.
Oh,
So let's hold it there. How many people were 3 or less?
seven.
7, right? 7 people out of how many? 25. You're going to be doing a lot of proportion with this one. P over W. Percent and people, right? There you go. Figure it out. Do not use the bottom part. Use it the way that we're doing it because the way that we do it is more transferable. All right, so if we set up our P over W correctly, we end up with 25x and then equals 700, right? You divide by 25, x equals 28. So 28 out of 100, which equals 28%. You will not be able to get a percentage unless you do a proportion. So please make sure that you do a proportion. Otherwise, you're not going to get it. The next one was a little bit tricky. You have to actually think about it very carefully. You, you cannot just give me the answer. You have to do a proportion for that one. Otherwise, you won't get it. What percent of households with 4 or fewer people have exactly 2 people? Think about it and work it out.
Oh, it's kind of like
It should be the same thing, but you have to use different numbers. Think about it. Read it carefully. What percent of households with 4 or fewer people have exactly 2 people? Think about it. All right, so did anybody get anything?
I didn't, but isn't it?
What? Not quite.
I'm still I get it, but at the same time I don't because it says four or fewer. So I'm looking on this side, but
What?
there's no
Not quite.
there's no people that have exactly two people on the four and fewer.
Are you sure?
Yeah, yeah.
You said there are no people who have exactly 2.
Oh, well,
3 people have exactly 2, right? And what are we focusing on? What? Of course, but what houses are we focusing on? 4 or fewer. So from here this way, that means we don't care about that. So how many out of how many? Did you not see me just cross out the other part? You no longer have 225. What do you have?
3.
Oh.
15. It's 2 over 15.
We're focusing on houses with 4 or fewer people. That means we cross out 5 and above. So what do we have total now? 15. And what are we actually asking about?
2.
Those who have exactly 2. So who has exactly 2 out of those 15? 3. 3 have exactly 2 out of those 15 that we're focusing on. So it will be 3 out of 15, and then the percentage. By the way, my second period was able to get it within seconds. Because they looked at it. It says household with 4 or fewer. If I'm saying 4 or fewer, that means I'm focusing on only this part. And these no longer count. So how many do I have total? 15, right? And I'm asking about who have exactly 2 people. Exactly 2 people, only 3 of them. So 3 out of 15. And then you do the proportion on it, and you get 20%. So it would be x over 100, 3 out of 15. So you get 15x equals 300 divided by 15. And you get 20. So 20% of the people. All right, the next one is going to talk about a bar graph. The first thing that I want you to do with the bar graph is to identify the values. So you put it on top. Andrew got 75. This guy, Becky got 105. Derek got 135. Dora got 150. Miguel got 90. And Trisha got 120. Always put on top the values. And you're like, how do you get the values? Well, you follow it. All right, so 3 boys and 3 girls ran for 7th grade class president. The boys are Andrew, Derek, and Miguel. The girls are Becky, Dora, and Trisha. The results of the election are shown in the bar graph. Which is greater? This is the question. The percent of total votes for boys that Derek received, or the percent of total votes for girls that Dora received. So for this one, we will look at Derek and Dora, right? But they're asking you specifically votes for boys that Derek received. So you look at Derek, and you're going to focus on the boys that voted, not the girls. So that means you will have to add up, find Derek. Derek got 135 out of how many boys that voted? 90 plus 75 plus 135. That gives me 300. So you want to find the percentage, right? Go ahead and do that one. So when you cross multiply and divide, you get 300x equals 135, 0, divided by 300, x equals 45. That means you got 45% of the votes out of the boys only. Then you look at Dora the same way, and if you notice, Dora got 150 when you add those up out of 375. So when you do the same thing, she ends up with 40% of the votes. So who had the highest percentage? Derek, right? Yeah, Derek had the most highest percentage, 45, which is really kind of crazy because he had less votes than Dora. But notice that Dora had a lot more voters than Derek did. So for example, let's say that Andrea is going to is running for prom queen. Well, let's say that people are like not concerned about voting. They're just like, I'm just gonna go to the dance and not care. And Andrea already told 20 people, yeah, I need to go vote for me. And then a total of 30 people vote, and 20 of them happen to be her friends voting for her. do you think she's going to win? Absolutely, right? There were only 30 people who voted, and 20 of them were from her friends. Oh my goodness. Hey, okay. So, what I was saying, if you have 30 people voting and you know that 20 of those people are going to vote for Andrea, obviously she's going to win. She's going to have majority. That doesn't mean that everybody voted for her. That just means out of those people who voted, because you didn't have a lot of voters, she had a higher chance. Same thing with Derek. He didn't have any people voting, so that means he had a higher chance of winning. All right. I'll just skip that part. For the next one, we're talking about basically a pie chart. There are 5,000 tickets available at a concert. The percentage of available tickets belonging to each ticket type is shown in the circle graph. Calculate the number of tickets available for each type of ticket. Sounds a lot of tickets. Okay, so basically, all of them add up to 100%, right? Which should equal 5,000 tickets. I want to know how you can find out the value, how many tickets were sold for the floor. I know there were 16%, but I want to know the amount of tickets. So go ahead and set up this using the P over W. Put the percentage and put the tickets for 16. Obviously, this is 100. And what goes here?
16.
Do you see this percentage sign? Can I put 16 on the other one? No, because that doesn't go, that's not for percentages, right? What is the other one for? The tickets, right? So what goes at the bottom? I'm sorry? 5,000, yes. And what goes on top, right here? 16. Do we know what goes over here? No. All right, let's go. Okay, so yeah, you get 800 when you do all the cross multiplication and that stuff. That's where it was in my box. Oh, that was the main office. Dang it. Okay, what percentage of sold tickets not on the floor were platinum tickets? What do you do there? It says what percentage of platinum tickets were sold, not including the floor tickets. What do you subtract? You subtract 800 from 5,000, right? And you do the same thing with the proportion. Good. All right. No, because we don't have enough time, unfortunately. On this one, again, let's go put over here 6 and put over here 18. I know. All right, so the students in the class were asked to which hand they prefer to use for writing. The bar graph shows the results. Of the students who had a preference, this is a keyword or a key sentence, of those who had a preference, what percentage shows left hand? Well, we don't care for these, right? Because they had no preference. We only focus on the ones that did. How many were left?
6.
What do you have C2 at? 6. How about right? 18. How do we have total? 24. So set up the proportion. P over W percent. And then you have right hand, right? How many out of the total? 6 out of 24, right? If you do the proportion, then it'll give you the value. Go ahead and do that one. You might. Maybe somewhere here. Yes. I know. For the rest of the week, I have to. Nope. Yeah, I don't behave.
Wait, why do you have to walk? We do behave sometimes.
So here's the answer, and that's maybe already got to it. It's 25. So that means 25% of the students prefer left hand. It's kind of strange. Huh? Out of 24. That's not the percentage. That's the number of students. All right, for the next one, there are 20,000 members of a zoo. The percent of members having each membership type is shown on the circle graph. How many members have a contributor membership? That's 7.5, right? But that's the percentage. I want to know how many members are actually part of it. So what do?
Subtract it from 200. No.
Still doing P over W.
P over W, which is 7.5 over 100, and then x to 20,000.
Exactly, X over 20,000. Let's work that one right now. So your homework is going to be page 353, the entire page from the front and the back of it. All of it. This week you're going to have a lot of homework because you need to practice a lot. So please make sure that you do this. Front and back. If you have any questions, you can ask me at Edmodo and I'll be able to answer.